When Herod died, an angel of the Lord suddenly appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who were seeking the child's life are dead." Then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was ruling over Judah in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. And after being warned in a dream, he went away to the district of Galilee. There he made his home in a town called Nazareth, so that what had been spoken through the prophets might be fulfilled. He will be called a Nazarene. Let's pray. Father, we do thank you for your word. And Father, we would ask that your Spirit would guide us this morning. Open our hearts, open our minds for what you have for us this morning. Father, may your Spirit open this word to us that we may find hope and grace to help us through. And Father, we know that your word is full of that. So we ask that you would guide us through this lesson. And may we hear what you want us to hear. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. You may be seated. He shall be called a Nazarene. Now, as we read over this, it's easy just to kind of gloss over this and pass it by without giving it a second thought. I know that's what I have done for years. And it wasn't until I started looking at the names given to Christ that I realized that God is trying to tell us something in the names that Christ is given. You see, names meant a lot in the Old Testament times. Many times, names given to children told of what was happening in a family or in a community or even what God was doing. In Genesis 10:25, we find that the two sons born to Eber, one's name was Peleg. And it goes on to say that this was because in his time the earth was divided. Peleg means divided. When Sarah finally has a child at the age of 90, the child is named Isaac. The name Isaac means laughter. Listen to what Sarah says when he is named. Sarah said, "God has given me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." In Exodus, when Pharaoh's daughter found a baby floating down the river in a basket, she gave him the name Moses. Moses means drawn out or to draw out. Listen to what it said in Exodus 20:10. When the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, "I drew him out of the water." This name actually can have a double meaning because it was also through Moses that God drew the Israelites out of Egypt. So many of the names in the Old Testament had certain meanings behind them. Well, the same is true of the names that were given to Christ. Over the next few weeks, I want to take a look at some of these names given to Christ to see what it is that God is trying to say to us through the use of this name. The first one I want to take a look at is the name Nazarene. Matthew tells us that upon returning from Egypt, where they had been hiding from King Herod, they came and lived in a town called Nazareth. Because Jesus grew up in Nazareth, he was known as a Nazarene. Now, at first glance, you don't give this much thought, because we still do this today. When we lived in Marion, we were known as Marionites. Those who lived in Canton are referred to as Cantonites. Those who lived in the town of Nazareth were referred to as Nazarenes. The name simply refers to where they lived. But it's not that simple. You see, the names that were given also carry another meaning. Once in a while, I would hear some stories about the ill will between the towns around where I used to pastor, especially in regard to the sports. If I remember the stories right, there used to be some pretty large turnouts at the games when the towns would play each other. And it was not uncommon to have to break up fights that broke out when these towns played each other as well. So with the rivalry that was going on between the towns, there was more to the names than just referring to those who lived in a certain town. If you were speaking about people from Freeman, you would refer to them as those Freemanites. Only you change your tone just a little bit. Those Freemanites. The same would happen when referring referred to those Maronites. Oh, those Maronites. Well, that was the same thing that was happening with those who lived in Nazareth. When people spoke of those who lived in Nazareth, they spoke of the Nazarenes with a little or even more than a little sneer or contempt in their voice. How do we know this? Well, listen to a response of one when he was told that Christ was from Nazareth. Let me read to you John chapter 1, verses 45 and 46. Philip found Nathanael and told him, "We have found the one Moses spoke about in the law, and about whom the prophets also wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." Nazareth? Can anything good come from there? Nathanael asked. "Come and see," said Philip. There's not much said about Nazareth, but from what we know that it was not looked upon very favorably. And not only was the town not looked upon favorably, but from the same text we also see that the people in this town were not looked upon very favorably as well. In the book of Acts, we see Paul taken and accused before Felix. Listen to what they say about him in Acts 24, 5 and 6. It says, now they've drugged Paul before Felix, and they're accusing Paul here. This is what they're saying. "For we have found this man a plague, one who stirs up riots among all the Jews throughout the world, and is the ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes. He even tried to profane the temple, but we seized him." The sect of the Nazarenes. Basically what they're saying is, these guys are nothing but trouble. And Paul is their ringleader. That's especially true of what is said of Christ as well. In some of the Old Testament prophecies, they spoke about this. Listen to what's said back in Psalm 22, 6 through 8. And listen for the sneer or contempt in the wording here. "But I am a worm and not a man, scorned by men and despised by all the people. All who see me mock me. They hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him." Isaiah 53 describes this as well. "He grew up before him like a tender shoot, like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and familiar with suffering. Like one from whom men hid their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he took up our infirmities and carried our sorrows. Yet we considered him stricken by God, smitten by him, and afflicted." And if you understand the attitude that the people had against Christ and his connection with Nazareth, it definitely brings out a new meaning to what was placed on that cross in John 19:19. Pilate had a notice prepared and fastened to the cross. It read, "Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews." Jesus of Nazareth was a poke at all the Jewish people, because what is being said here is that this troublemaker, this good-for-nothing Nazarene, the very one the people sneered at and scoffed at, is your king. It was almost kind of a crude joke to hang that sign above Christ on that cross. The idea here is that when Christ is referred to as a Nazarene, it was not at all in a very flattering way. Now, this is really good. It's interesting stuff, but why is it important for us to know? Why do the writers take so much time and effort to bring out the fact that Jesus was from Nazareth? Why do they help us to understand how he was looked at? Because it's in the meaning of this name that God has given us a very important message. And the message is this: he understands. You see, Christ was not born into a royal family. He wasn't treated with royalty all the days of his life. He wasn't raised in a family where he would never have to go without. He wasn't raised in a family that was looked up to and respected. He was born out of wedlock. So really, the opposite is true. Christ was born into a poor family. There were probably times when they did have to go without. And he was definitely not treated like royalty. In fact, he was mocked and sneered at most of his life. He was looked down upon, and the words of Philip were probably the words of many of the people of that time. Can anything good come from Nazareth? Twice during his ministry, the people tried to stone him to death. And when they finally crucified him, they hung him between two common criminals and placed a sign over his head mocking him as a king from Nazareth, a sneered-at person from a good-for-nothing town. But again, in all of this comes a message from God, and the message is he understands. The writer of Hebrews actually helps us to put all this together. In Hebrews 4:15, the author says, "For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in every way just as we are, yet without sin." What the author is saying here is that he understands. You see, in order for Christ to be a good and faithful high priest, he would need to be able to understand what it is that we're going through. The author is telling us that because of the place where Christ grew up, and because of all that he experienced in his life, he makes a great high priest because he can identify with what we're going through. He knows what it's like to go without. He knows what it's like to be an outcast. He knows what it's like to be turned away from by your family. He knows what it's like to be sneered at. Because he has gone through it himself, he understands what it is that you are going through. And because of this, the very next verse in Hebrews gives us encouragement. Let us then approach the throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. Because Christ has been there, he understands. Because he understands, we can come to him with all that is going on in our lives and find one who can identify with us. And because he understands, we can find that grace and mercy when we stand before him. You see, if you've never had a marriage problem, when someone comes up to you and tells you about the problems they're having with their marriage, you really can't identify with them. And because you can't identify with them, you really can't understand what it is that they're struggling with, what they're going through. And if you can't understand what they're going through, you really can't bring the same comfort and encouragement to them had you gone through it yourself. Henry Nouwen has a book called The Wounded Healer. The premise of this book is that those who have gone through the struggles themselves make the best healers. They understand the situation you're in because they've been there themselves, so they can help, they can minister to others through their own woundedness. That's what it's telling us here. Christ is here to minister to us through his own woundedness. God is telling us through the name Nazarene that Christ has gone through it himself. He can identify, and you can go to him and find somebody who understands. Are you struggling? Maybe you're having a tough time with family. Maybe you're struggling with the feeling like a loner or an outcast. Maybe it seems like the whole world is against you. Whatever it is that you are struggling with, you can find one who understands. The Nazarene. He's been there. He understands what it is that you're up against. He's made it through. It's at the throne of the Nazarene that you will find grace and mercy to help in a time of need. He shall be called the Nazarene. So many times we gloss over that passage, never even think about it. But it's interesting to slow down a little bit and take a look at these names and say, all right, God, what is the message you want from me through this name? The message this morning is, I understand. Have you been wounded? Are you struggling with the pain of fresh wounds, or maybe even old wounds that refuse to heal? Approach the throne of the Nazarene. He's waiting for you. And he can help you like no other, because he understands. That's the message God has for us through a simple name, the Nazarene. Amen? Amen. Let me pray. Father, we do thank you for your names. It is amazing the messages you have for us all through your scripture, and as we take time to take a look at the names that were given to you, help us to understand the meaning behind those names, that we may find comfort and encouragement to help us to keep going when we struggle as well. In Christ's name we pray.